Greetings, YouTube. I would say about 99% of the messages I get in the Line app never make it to a video. Now, sometimes that disappoints people. They'll reach out and they'll say, Prof, I have a really great idea for a video, and I'll just either not have the time to do it or I'll think, let's wait on that. One of the videos I was hesitant to do just because, I don't know, it felt kind of unnecessary was the fact that Kabam or somebody is spamming 5-star reviews to counter the 1-star reviews that have made it into the Apple Store and the Google Play Store in terms of reviews, because as many of you know, in the past couple weeks, the goal was to voice the displeasure of the changes to Act 6 through 1-star reviews, and they were countered by people who, and you might say, Prof, how do you know they're spam? Because when people comment, it's like one word, or it's not even a word that makes sense. It's almost just a joke to say, but hey, I just canceled out that 1-star review. And that's why some of you have reached out to me and said, Prof, why hasn't the rating changed much, if at all, in either of those stores? And there you have it. That's the answer. So I wanted to mention that, as I promised a couple of you that I would at least talk about it to start a video, but not make an entire video devoted to it. But I kind of get the sense, based off of two camps of people that have reached out to me, that the game is at a bit of a crossroads. We have people, fantastic people, who unfortunately, seeing how 6 stars are quote-unquote becoming the new 5 stars, but really just how 6 stars are more prevalent, and how long it's going to take to rank up 6 stars, they're feeling like they've hit a wall in terms of their motivation to grind, and they're saying, this is a really good time to get out of the game, and so they're leaving. And they're deleting the game off their phone. And we also have a couple of awesome YouTubers that have done the same. The Idolist being the latest one. And if you never got a chance to check out his channel, great dude. I've had a very awesome pleasure and honor, really, of meeting him twice in person. And he will be missed. His videos had fantastic production value. His war videos especially added a unique flair to keeping track of kills and nodes and even just unique counters. He's one of those few people that he just ranked up who he wanted to. Even before Sentry even had a buff, it's like, I'll rank up Sentry, I'll rank up, all these champions that we think of are just middle tier, if not worse. He's like, I'll do it. And that's awesome. I wish there were more people like that out there. So that's about, 20% of the people who are talking to me, maybe a little bit less. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, maybe closer to 10%. Of course, you have people who have never been more excited because they are free-to-play players, or they're people who don't have a lot of money, and yet the Cavalier Crystals give them the ultimate incentive to actually grind in the arena to get more free units through battle chips to potentially spend 200 units on a 6-star. In fact, I received screenshots from at least 3 summoners yesterday who bought 1 Cavalier Crystal and got a 6-star out of that one. 200 units for a 6-star, that's the equivalent of spending 200 units on 10,000 6-star shards. It's just unbelievable. You still can't get 200 units to give you a 3-star crystal most of the time instead of a 6-star. So then there's everybody else, right? So there's these two extremes of summoners. There's the summoners who are done with the game and feel like this is a good time to bow out. There's the summoners who in some ways have never been more excited because of better access to 5-stars and 6-star champions. Both sides I definitely understand. And then there's everybody else who's kind of on the fence, right? They're burnt out, but they're still enjoying the game. But there are some changes that need to be made, and those changes are being voiced to me almost daily now for suggestions. And this suggestion I am about to pitch is absolutely nothing new. It is not revolutionary by any means, but it has come on the precipice of the fact that we have this new beta test for Season 10 of Alliance War, and every time there are changes to Alliance War, people leave. Because Alliance War has burnt out more members of this community than anything else, especially Alliance War seasons, between cheating scandals and lag. The lag is still causing people to have really, really unnecessary deaths that, of course, nothing's worse in something that's supposed to be a game of skill. Nothing is worse than you're about to win a fight and you've played it perfectly and you've also put hundreds of units worth of boosts into your Alliance War path, and then the lag, especially on Android, happens and suddenly you find yourself KO'd and now your Alliance might lose because of that lag. And I got to tell you, as somebody who plays on an Apple phone, I haven't really seen that often on my end, but it is being sent to me in one way or another, including videos of this as examples over and over again. And I feel like one of the worst things we're doing as an MCOC YouTube community right now is not addressing the Android lag issue more. And so if you're somebody who is like, where the heck is this and why are people not talking about it? I'll try to post this on the forums and it's being ignored. Just know that I hear you and I'm trying to talk about this more, even if it's not a dedicated video to it all the time. So needless to say, people feel burnt out, they feel overwhelmed, and there's just a little bit of a staleness to the game. And Kabam normally likes to inject a fresh sense of excitement into the game by adding new champions every month, obviously, but also doing things like changing up maps. But I don't really think changing up maps puts the excitement into the game that they anticipate. It certainly doesn't oftentimes give them the revenue that they anticipate. They just look at the dungeon revenue and the loss of that, really, considering how much money they put into dungeons. But here's the deal. We've been talking about this. They sometimes on rare occasion do this. But if you want people to not get burnt out on this game, they have to have a life outside of this game. Because there are a lot of people who play this game while they're taking breaks at work, whether it be bathroom breaks. Of course, they're juggling this game with the demands of a spouse and with kids, etc. They have, of course, several bills to pay, and they just need this game to stay fun, because if it indeed continues to be more stress and more exhaustion than fun, they're going to move on and they're going to play something that's less stress and more fun. And obviously in 2019, more than ever, there are just so many other choices to download to have fun. So what are two things that are so easy to do to fix some of this exhaustion? Well, now more than ever, because of all the things we have going on in the game, but also just people who are great who are choosing to leave, we need those Alliance Quest and Alliance War timers to be cut in half to where they used to be in certain situations, especially when the game would screw up and would force their hand to do this, like, say, for a emergency maintenance that lasted much longer than usual. They would cut them by half an hour. And so this would allow people the opportunity to actually get a full night's rest without worrying about moving in Alliance Quest or Alliance War. This would also allow people the chance to just spend time outside of the game and not have to worry about holding their alliance back. And I do think if Kabam is not ready to do that, the compromise in that situation is also to move the hours that the Alliance timers expire to from 5 to 7. If you tell summoners that if you clear that 7-hour time lot, and we think on average, according to scientists, you should get about 7 hours of sleep per night, that you can actually not be punished. Because, of course, if you clear your Alliance Quest, Alliance War timer, even if it's at 0 seconds, which never happens, and then you go to sleep for 7 hours, which is a good thing, and you wake up, your timer would have stopped at 5, and those 2 hours that you thankfully slept toward are actually not being countered towards the energy that it takes to move. And then on top of that, when you think about how many times you have to move and not have full energy in map 7 of Alliance Quest, which really is the new reason for this discussion. What's changed between now and even 6 months ago? It's been map 7 of Alliance Quest with so many nodes, and Kabam, make no mistake about it, they expected this to be a cash cow, and it has not been. It's probably been the worst decision they've made in terms of gaining revenue since introducing dungeons. And so because of this, they're trying to find new ways to get more alliances to whale out in terms of donations, and ultimately, if you screw up on a path, potions and revives and units to complete it. Well, the best way to give more alliances the incentive to do that is not just to do what they've done, which is to make it easier and the difficulty not as bad for linked nodes and even the global nodes, but it's also going to be to give people a more opportunity to get their energy back faster when they do grind those really stressful, difficult paths of the toughest Alliance Quest map. And the beauty of that is if they do that for map 7, hopefully that energy change trickles down to every other map in the game, so that even if you're an alliance that runs, say, map 4 and map 5, you still can benefit, and certainly everyone can benefit from that as well in Alliance War. I don't know why Kabam has been so reluctant. They're willing to lose people to being burnt out and having that grind versus just doing something that's pro player that ultimately benefits them just as much, if not even more, than the player base. So it is time to do one of two things. It is time to either cut in half the timers of Alliance Quest and Alliance War to 30 minutes permanently, or it's time to at least move the expiration timer of 5 hours to 7 hours to give everybody more time to move and not punish them if they choose to just not log into the game for a few hours in order to gain some important mental sanity back. For the health of the community and for the health of this game, which I always like to point out, despite what seem like critical videos, I want my YouTube channel to continue to grow. I want this community to continue to grow. I have met some of my favorite people in the whole wide world through this community, and I'm sure, God willing, I'll continue to grow that friendship and that player base with so many people in this world. So because of that, Kabam, you have an opportunity. Don't screw this up. Make it permanent. The community will be so thankful, and most importantly, you will retain so many more summoners in your player base down the line because you're causing them less stress on their day-to-day experience, and that, for everybody, is always a big win.